Hello and welcome to the trade setup. In this video we are looking at Oklo. It is time for another update, and here we have another one of these energy sector opportunities I have been mentioning in the new scale power video I published earlier today. This is the third video in 2 days in this sector that provides an interesting opportunity, and we have an actual trade setup available. Now, we start with the large time frame, we provide the context, and then we move within the smaller time frame structure, where we provide some levels we can actually grasp today. So, here on the large time frame, we have been tracking two main scenarios. Either this would have been a larger leading diagonal, where the wave 1 would have a top in place here, and then this would have been the wave 2, and the wave 3 could have taken place within such an interpretation. Well, I'm starting to doubt this scenario because the wave B would be getting quite extended already, and I actually consider a bottom to possibly be in place within this overall correction. But typically, I would have expected the wave B to be ideally smaller than what we had within this as a wave 2, or at least not to have this large of a difference, to have the structure make more sense. And this is actually causing me to rather disconsider this interpretation, where instead we might need to have a preference for what we could be tracking in the yellow scenario, where instead of having the wave 1 top here, this would have been only the wave A, this would be the wave B correction, the wave C to the upside, thus building a larger wave 1. Does this mean we can no longer track the white area of support? Well, not within a leading diagonal, I would believe. Within a leading diagonal, we would typically not expect extensions in the same manner we would be tracking within an impulse, but within an impulse, in fact, this could make sense, but even here, it's not an exactly perfect pattern, because this is a wave 1, sure, perfect. This is a wave 2, sure, perfect. This as an internal wave 1 to the upside, well, the internal structure itself is quite nice, you could say even perfect, but it would be quite extended, wouldn't it? In fact, within this movement to the upside, we have extended all the way up to the 100% extension of the initial structure. Wasn't that something we mentioned all the time? Well, it was. It's the ideal target for a wave C. So, sure, we can have here on the chart an internal 1-2 setup within this area. An extension within a wave 3 would allow sometimes even a larger correction within an internal wave 2 than the larger degree wave 2. But be aware, we should be extremely prepared for this yellow interpretation to be taking overall charge of this chart. So we will leave this here. We will focus on the internal structure, and for the next video we will not even start with this white interpretation on the chart. Now, in this structure we have been tracking this idea of an ABC pattern, and in the previous video we did highlight that quite possibly this wave C would be complete. It really doesn't need any further extensions. We have a wave A down, a B wave up here nicely into the resistance area, and a wave C that has a quite clearly complete 5-wave move to the downside. We didn't quite get to the ideal target for such a wave C, but we did get close enough to consider it quite compelling as an interpretation, and within this structure I am looking for a potential reversal. I am looking for this to have been a potential initial 5-wave move to the upside we have formed from these lows, and we have even a few options here. Fortunately, we do not need to overthink them, as I could consider this to have been a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5. This would allow an initial 5-wave move to the upside, and even if I do not actually like enough this idea of an internal wave 2 correction in this area, as we have retraced quite deeply within this structure, I could just consider that to have been a truncation instead, right? Then this could work out as an internal 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5. Perfectly acceptable. I do not really need to care too much about it. And in that scenario, I would once again have an initial 5-wave move to the upside in place. Now, in this case, I would be watching nothing more than the area of support between $64.5 down to $50.8. within either of these interpretations. This is the area of support. There is negligible difference between these two interpretations, but I do actually want to highlight another possibility because, as I was saying, it is technically a thing that I could track this just as a 5-week move to the upside itself. So I could consider something along the lines of this blue interpretation, where instead of having a 5-week pattern complete, I would be looking still for one more high before making such an assumption. Now, here's the thing, especially since we got within this white area of support and since they do overlap, we might not get another chance to enter within a wave 2. We wouldn't know at this point which of these two scenarios have taken place. So we might not get another opportunity. Even if we do not break the blue area of support, we might have a 5-week move to the upside within one count or the other in place, a wave 2 correction into the support zone in white, and an extension to higher prices form in a pretty direct fashion where, before we get another such opportunity, we would need to get another confirmation, we would need to build an entire larger 5-week move to the upside, right? So with all of these considerations, each and every one of us has to make their own decisions, needs to have a plan in place to be okay with any of these outcomes. And sure, sometimes we can miss opportunities, but that is perfectly fine. You do not need to catch every single opportunity. There are so many opportunities available in this market every single week that it is perfectly fine to miss some of them. You may have already joined and exposed yourself to the energy sector within other stocks, and that's perfectly fine. You do not need to catch every single one of these opportunities, and it might be for the best. It might not even succeed. Additional exposure could be considered to be rather risky instead, and that is why everyone needs to decide for themselves for their own situation. Now, let's take a look at the internal structure. So, yesterday, I was looking at this to actually build a potential zigzag correction. I've been looking for this to build something along the lines of an A, B, C pattern. Within this wave C, I would have actually liked to see one more low take place in this development before forming a reversal. But this was going to be an expectation only as long as we weren't going to break the 50% retracement for a potential wave 4 in this structure. Now that this has happened, the bottom might already be in place, the reversal might already be undergoing within the previously mentioned scenarios. So I go here within an even smaller time frame, and this is not going to be a long-lasting interpretation because it is within such a small time frame that even before I upload this video, things might have changed. We might see further developments. But I am looking actually for a potential internal impulse on this chart where if we go, let's say on the 5-minute time frame, I could consider this to have been something like a double 1-2-1-2 setup, and this would be my wave 3 to the upside. In this interpretation, I would like to see a double 4-5-4-5 pattern, which would afterwards allow me to identify a confirmation. In that case, even if I do not get the opportunity to buy at the previous levels of support, I would be able to buy with more confidence into an internal area of support where I know that if I do not manage to hold these levels that would then show up, I would need to be prepared for a complete reset within this larger area of support that could be tracked here in white. So we can remove this internal structure in white. I consider that possibly this would have been instead a WXY structure, similar with what I have shown today on the new scale power chart, and I am looking for this to be building this initial 5-week move to the upside. Now, with these structures, we have to be aware this is within an extremely small time frame. We might not follow through within this internal structure. Sometimes we actually just get direct extensions to higher prices, and we just push until we build the entire wave C or whatever it would be. And I'm not going to discuss all the possibilities that this larger structure could be building. I'm just tracking today here this internal 1-2 setup. If you want all the details of how this could develop further, you could actually watch today's new scale power video because the structure is quite similar in fact. Now, in this development, I am looking to hold support for a potential internal wave 4 correction. Keep in mind, this would need to extend if the wave 3 forms additional highs, which at this point still seems to be the case. And one more caution, there is actually the possibility that the wave 3 had actually topped here and we would have this larger wave 3 complete, in fact, right? There is this option, but at this point in time, at the very least, I would prefer to track an even further extension that would be possible. Now, in this development, I would be tracking internal levels of support for a wave 4 in the area of an impulse. So I'm talking about the levels between the 23.6% retracement, $68.9 down to $67.1. As long as these levels still hold, we can expect this structure to still continue higher. Yes, we expect a wave 4 correction to typically reach this support zone, form a wave 5, and then this would allow the larger wave 3 to be complete. Then we would expect ideally to form a larger wave 4 and another wave 5 to complete an initial 5-wave move to the upside with what would be a quite extended wave 3. And for now, I see no value going beyond this. I would personally be focusing on the levels of support, and if we cannot hold at the very least $67, right? This is for the interpretation where this entire wave 3 would be complete. I would consider it likely that this area of an impulse would be failing, that we should be prepared even for a complete reset of the currently available bottom within this as a larger correction. Ultimately, that is always going to be a possibility. Such corrections can always form even larger corrections, and to be honest, theoretically even an overshoot within such a pattern would be possible, but I am looking for the confirmation. I'm not looking to buy within a possible fake out, an overshoot, right? And I'm waiting for the reversal into an internal support zone after I have the confirmation. Sure, within the larger time frame, I have this larger area of support in white that I am interested in, but within the internal structure, within the smaller time frame, there is no such confirmation, at least not at this point in time. And for now, these are the levels, this is the trade setup. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and if you enjoyed the content and want to support it directly, check out the channel membership. And other than that, let me know what else you'd like me to cover, and I'll do my best to do that in the days and weeks ahead. And until then, I wish you a nice day and hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.